This morning I was thinking to myself that I should pick a video topic that would be easier to get done, because the last couple have taken a lot more work than I planned and ended up barely being released on time, and some of them I couldn't even get finished on time. So why is it that I'm sitting next to 4 computers from the least reliable era of hardware that I've never tested with the intention of getting IPX networking running on them on DOS? Oh yeah, because I decided it was finally time to try multi-monitor Doom out on original hardware, because that idea has been eating away at me forever, and for some reason, that was the thing that occurred to me that would be easy for this week. Multi-monitor Doom is something I have been wanting to try for years, and oddly, I actually know exactly how long it's been since I first learned about it. All the way back in 2017, I did a video for Draga1's channel where I installed Doom as a server on Windows NT. And in the second video, that has really messed up audio, sorry about that, I used my MacBook that was running Linux to connect to the server. That was done with Chocolate Doom, which I had to look up on the wiki how to use to connect to a standard Doom client. But one of the interesting things I found on the wiki while I was doing that was the description of the 3-screen mode. Now this really struck a chord with me, because for as long as I've been able to, I have run 3 monitors on my computer, and when a game actually supports that, it is a truly incredible experience. But the way that Doom does it is very strange, and actually, this copy can't do it at all. And actually, neither can my copy of Ultimate Doom, or this copy of Shareware Doom by Microstar, or this CD copy, or this shareware, or this shareware. None of these are capable of doing multi-monitor Doom. The only way you can use multi-monitor on Doom without using a modern source port is to luck into a very early copy. Now, I have here what seems like 2 identical copies of Doom shareware, each of them released by Gold Medallion Software, which actually also released this CD version here. But this is version 1.666, this is version 1.2, even though it doesn't say it, and this is where this gets interesting, because these contain version 1.1. One of the biggest changes between Doom 1.1 and 1.2 was how the network code worked, and the multi-monitor option was done by networking multiple copies of the game, and that feature was no longer being updated with the new netcode starting with 1.2. So version 1.1 is the last version of the game that can be used to do multi-monitor. Now, the difference between Doom versions and the networking support is a moot point if you are a sensible person and run Chocolate Doom to try out Doom multi-monitor. But I'm not a sensible person, and I want to run original Doom 1.1 on MS-DOS 622 to make this as close to the original experience as possible. But I do have to make a bit of a concession when it comes to hardware, because while I would love to run this on 3 386s or 46s, that's going to be a little difficult to do. So instead, I have 4 nearly identical Pentium 4 era systems, and I'm hoping to just get 3 of these working. If we get all 4 working, there's something cool we can try, but 3 is the bare minimum, and even that's going to be a stretch. Now, I really don't trust hardware from this era, so I'm going to label these units A, B, C, and D so I can keep track of all of the problems that I'm going to have with them as they crop up, because I cannot fathom how this is going to go smoothly. Now, I've actually been keeping these computers set aside and untouched specifically for this use case so that I can try and minimize the amount of drivers and random nonsense I gotta track down to try and get this working, because all of these computers are fairly similarly configured, though they are all different. So first we have VGA here, but optical there, and then VGA, and then VGA. So this one is weird and has cards in it to make it more usable. Then we have USB and USB, USB, but no USB. So this one has a different motherboard than these 2. Then we can see these power supplies match as well as this one, but then that one is different. So clearly, not a single one of these computers is actually identical to any of the others, even if it is something minor there. So these computers are all very similar, but are different. And while something like, say, that power supply being different from this system's may seem not relevant, the fact that they had to replace one of these at some point when clearly they all had the same one at one time is a little concerning that these may not work now. But we won't know until we turn them on. And before we turn them on, we should really look at the motherboards to make sure there are no capacitors that are going to explode. So let's look at these each one at a time. All right, let's start off with Unit A, and these cases are very strange. You actually have to pinch a lever on the front panel of the case, pry it off, and then slide the side panel forward, and then tip it down and out. It's very weird. Now, in here we have a hard drive, 2 optical drives, a 3.5-inch floppy that looks medium gross, 2 sticks of RAM that are unspecified in capacity, because why would they be? But most critically, we have an Intel motherboard with the CPU fan that's unplugged. Why? The motherboard model is D845EPI, which will be handy to go look up drivers. Which is unfortunately a task that has gotten harder recently since Intel decided to just wipe their whole driver archive. Though I think they gave people enough time to back it all up, so we'll see how easy it is to find that. Everything else here looks right. We have power going to the drives, the hard drive's connected, the IDE cable's there, floppy's good. So I think we are clear to wipe whatever is on this and try and put DOS on there, provided it does actually power up. But we're gonna wait until we look at all the systems to check for that. Looking at the capacitors, I see some tops that are a little swollen, but none of them have ruptured yet. So while I would not say this board has long to live, I'm willing to try powering it on for a single video. Next up, Unit B. And this one is a very different motherboard, a D845PEBT2 that also has the CPU fan disconnected. Why were none of these CPU's fans plugged in? I'm a little scared. Now would be a good time to clue you in that these were being used as servers, so I'm not expecting anything high performance out of these, and this I can actually see is an S3 Verge DX, which is a very weak 3D card, so yeah, that was never doing much for gaming. And I don't know what processors are in these. It would be smart of me to remove the coolers and refresh the thermal paste, but that would also take more time than I really want to put into this today. So we're gonna leave them for now, and it's not like they're gonna be working that hard running DOS and Doom, so they'll probably be fine. But same story as last time, everything has power, everything is connected, and it all looks good after I plugged in the CPU fan. The caps all look quite good on this board actually, and there are a lot of polymer caps in there too, so that's pretty nice to see. I don't see any that are bulging, so this board may just straight up work. All right, Unit C. Now I would like to point out here, Unit C and Unit A were the 2 boards that looked the most similar, but Unit C's board actually has more PCI slots than Unit A's board did. So these are 2 completely different Intel motherboards. This is a D865GBF. And hey, look, the CPU fan's plugged in, but then that one isn't. I guess we'll plug that in right there. Sensible checks here. The hard drive is plugged in. The floppy drive is as well, and it's one of the weird ones, probably a Mitsumi, that has the power connector over the floppy connector. Optical drive is good, and yeah, that's all looking just fine. We have some more polymer VRM caps on this one. That's nice to see, and none of them have blown tops, so I'm optimistic for at least 2 of these boards. And last, Unit D. And inside of here we have yet another different motherboard with the CPU fan disconnected. Also, this rear case fan is disconnected. Looking at the drives, hard drive's good, floppy drive good, optical good, motherboard power's in, front panel, that's USB, probably buttons and stuff are run, CPU power, okay. Sneaking a peek at the caps, they're dirty, but they have not ruptured, so I think we might be in luck and have 3 functional boards at least. Nice. Almost forgot this last board is a D845GVFN. Well, after looking over all 4 units, they all seem like they're good enough to try powering up. I'm still somewhat baffled by them though. How do you end up with 4 computers that are so similar, but not actually identical? If these all have the same motherboard, it would actually make more sense than them all being similar, but slightly different. It's like they had the intention of building 4 identical computers, but went to a computer store that only had 1 of each kind of Intel board and thought, good enough. So I'm gonna go see what the driver situation's like for these. It's really the networking that I have to try and get drivers for, and I'm hoping that these being Intel boards, they have something pretty standard like a Intel Pro Ethernet chipset or something, and that will most likely be possible to get working on DOS. But I won't know until I look, so let me go do some research. All right, back from researching through the scattered remains of the Intel documentation, these 3 motherboards have an Intel 82562EX LAN chipset. That one has an Intel 8256ET chipset. And I'm guessing they're all probably functionally the same. So we're gonna try and install the exact same ProDOS driver on all 4 of these, but at the very least, these 3 should all be able to use the exact same DOS driver, so we're looking pretty good here, actually. I'm thinking this might actually work out. Now it's gonna get real, because I'm gonna do proof of life boots on all of these systems to make sure they will actually work. So we're gonna see what happens with these now, finally. I'm not gonna actually boot into whatever operating systems I have on there because I have not wiped these drives, but we will make sure they can post to get into the BIOS menus. Here we go. Intel Pentium 4. Perfect. F4. Okay. So we have P4, 2.4 gigahertz, not bad. 2 gigs of RAM. Wow, those are way bigger sticks than I thought they were gonna be. Yeah, looking good. Clock battery's probably dead. Yeah, we should be all good on this one. Excellent. Let's swap in Unit B. That's a loud hard drive. All right, 1.8 gigahertz Pentium 4, 512 megs of RAM. Okay, hard drive shows up for now. All right, that all looks good to me. So move on to Unit C. Another loud hard drive. Another 1.8 gigahertz chip with 1 gig of RAM. That's 4 in that and 2 in the other one to get whatever. All right, I'm liking it. Let's check the last one. Oh, you know, I probably should have been checking all the other stuff. That fan is spinning so slowly. There is something not right there. Last one. Oh, this one sounds so much nicer. All right, 2.4 gigahertz P4, 512 megs of RAM. So wildly variable. I think we are good to attempt installing DOS on these. Well, since all the hardware seems to work, it's time to start mass installing MS-DOS 622 on here. But while I could use my original installation media on these, I don't really want to put my nice disks in these gross, probably never cleaned floppy drives. I could, of course, run a cleaning disk through them, but you kind of need to load an operating system to make sure the heads clamp down and actually move across, and I would have to load something to do that, which is a bit of a chicken and the egg problem here. So I could put a clean drive in to use instead for now, or I could just use a floppy emulator like a Gotek and just use images of my disks to install. And pushing buttons instead of swapping out the disks 12 times also doesn't sound too bad. So we're gonna go ahead and go this route for this time. All right, now this process is either going to be a complete nightmare across all 4 systems, or it's gonna go extremely easily. I'm not sure which it will be yet. I'm hoping easily. But I'm gonna fast forward through the install on all 4 systems here because we've seen this before and it's going to be very repetitive. So I will check back in with you after we get through all of this because I'm hoping it goes nice and smoothly. The process is gonna be pretty simple. We're gonna go in here, we're gonna delete all of the non-DOS partitions because they're probably, oh, that's weird. HPFS? I have no idea what that is. I'm gonna delete all the probably NTFS partitions on these and get some nice fat 16 DOS partitions on here. So this whole process is gonna take a bit of work. All right, all 4 systems now have DOS installed, so that's the easy part done. Now we have to start working on the hard part, which is networking. So I'm gonna set up 2 of these next to each other and try and get them networked. I may have to install Doom to test that, so we'll probably do that as well, but I'm gonna get reconfigured with 2 of these and start poking around with that. Okay, I've got 2 machines here. I have A over here and D over here, and we're gonna try and get these to network with the Intel DOS driver. And I'm gonna try and use this with a disk. Now that I have an operating system on here, I can more easily clean these drives. So I'm gonna try running my cleaning disk through here. Okay, a bit has gone on here because my mic turned off because it took me so long to figure out some things that I figured I'd just save battery and then forgot to turn it back on, and I got it working, but let me go through everything here. These are the second 2 systems, and I still need to set it up on these. So we're gonna go through the whole process. But things didn't go quite as I'd hoped. So first, after getting the drive clean, I tried putting drivers for the network card to see if I could get it working on this disk, and then the drive that I just cleaned proceeded to gouge it really badly in the magnetic media. So for the rest of the video, we'll be going with Gotex for getting files into and off of these systems because I'm not risking anything like my real Doom v1.1 disks in any of these disgusting floppy drives, even if I think I get them clean, because I really thought I had it clean there, so that ain't happening. But with that done here, I will go ahead and continue to get this booted up. I do have drivers for these network cards, so we can get this set up actually and see how this works. Okay, I've selected an image here that has the network drivers on it, but those are not the network drivers I downloaded from Intel. Despite those saying that they are Intel's last release of MS-DOS drivers for their LAN controllers, you can't extract the archive on DOS. You can't extract the archive on Windows 98. You must extract the archive on Windows NT systems. So it's probably not too surprising that I couldn't find any ODI drivers in there when I actually finally got it extracted. So after more looking, I actually found 2 driver listings from Lenovo of all places. And while one of them didn't work, the second one did, and they contain everything needed to get IPX set up and running on this exact hardware. So this is perfect. First, we're gonna go back to drive C and I'm going to create a folder mkdir.net. All right, and then I'm gonna cd to that. Okay, then we're gonna go back to A and I'm gonna cd pro 100. And then I actually have to cd into DOS because it has a directory for OS2, which is interesting, but not helpful here. And then once we're into there, we can see all of the files that we need. And this is absolutely everything we need, actually even more. So we don't need all of it, but I will just copy star.star to C, which will put it into the net folder that we just made. And now we can get this configured. All right, back over to C. I'm going to edit net.cfg. And this sets up our link driver system. So we have to enable one of these frame types, and I'm just enabling 802.3 on all of these. We can leave the first network drive. It doesn't really matter because we're not going to mount a network drive. And yeah, that's it. So we just have to uncomment one of these and then we're good. This driver already comes pre-selected as the one that we're going to run. So we're good there. And Yeah, this is a cakewalk actually to get this set up. So I'm gonna save this and then I'm gonna exit. And then that's it. That's the only thing I need to configure to actually get networking working. I do have to manually launch everything though. So we're gonna start by running LSL. So the link socket layer thing, or link support layer, that's what it's called, is now running. Okay, so now we load our ODI driver, which is E100B ODI. All right, it loads up. It does in fact connect to our, oh yeah, I forgot to plug in the cable. This does actually find the network card. A different driver that I loaded did not find the network card and gave a different error, so I know I'm good this time. All right, so it says it's got auto negotiation on, so we're probably good having plugged it in after. It's not gonna matter because I don't have to shut down and move stuff around anyway. But after running the ODI driver com file, then we run IPX ODI to complete the bridge from ODI to IPX, and that's it. We are good to go. That is everything that is needed to be done. That can all be added to the audio.exe c.bat file as well. But that's it for setting up IPX there. It is ready to go. So now we will go ahead and install my copy of Doom 1.1 on this machine, and then we will move everything over to here and get this one set up too and try it out. So again, rather than using my real discs, we're going to use the Gotek, but we'll just go ahead and pretend here. Oh, okay, we put our disc in, and I'm definitely not just pushing the Gotek button. So we'll go over to A, and then it's kind of important to note here that this is a shareware copy, and this has Gold Medallion's own installer, I believe, to run this. So you'll notice that there isn't de-ice or anything in there. So we're going to run setup, and this is going to go through Gold Medallion's program, which I'm going to tell it to start installing to C here. And then this is a little weird. It looks like it has a spot where there should be a progress bar filling up as it goes along, and we can see the tracks advancing on the Gotek, so it's reading data, but nothing ever shows up there. So I don't know what it's actually for, and you have no indication of how far along it is. If you had just a regular floppy drive, you'd only see the light on there. You wouldn't see the tracks to know how far along on the disk it is. So yeah, kind of funny. You have no idea what the progress is. And that beep means time to eject that disk and put in the next one. And, you know, click, enter, and continue. All right, there we are. I'm going to set that up for keyboard and PC speaker only, and I'll just run Doom to show that it works. Perfect. And yeah, there we are. Now I'm going to move the Gotek over to that machine, and I'll get that one set up. Okay, these both have the IPX stack and Doom installed now, so let's actually try and get these connected. So I'm going to CD to net on both of these. Then I'll launch LSL. I'm going to launch the E100B ODI. Boom. And no complaints that time. E100B ODI. And good. IPX ODI and IPX ODI. Okay, so they're bound to protocol 0 here. I'm finding this confusing. I don't really know quite what's going on here, but I'll cover that in a second. So now I'm gonna CD Doom. All right, and we can actually connect through setup. All right, so we're gonna go down to setup and run network game. We're gonna leave it at 2 players. Staying knee deep in the dead because we don't have any other ones because this is shareware. Leave that difficulty. And then the network socket is apparently that protocol thing, I think. I'm not sure. But we'll leave that. And now I'm gonna start it on this one. Okay. So it's starting and waiting. And now once I start it on this one, it will connect. And there we are. We are in game. Go forward and turn around. There's the other player. We can see each other. Now there is a problem. It is moving way too fast. Now this isn't like, oh, the game is meant to run at 33 megahertz and this is a, you know, 2.4 gigahertz processor. It's not that fast. It's only like 4 times faster, I would say. So it's weird. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going on there. But I'm hoping maybe adding the other 2 systems or something will make it slower. I don't know. Cause yeah, it's definitely not right. But just for giggles, this player is viewing the barrel. Let me go ahead and have this one shoot it. There we go. Yeah. The absolute submachine gun that is the pistol when it's running too fast. All right. We can try a multi-monitor setup now. What do you think? So let's do this. And we might also encounter the weird error I found earlier. So we're gonna run Doom network from the command line. So it's gonna be doom-net, and then we only have 2 here, so we're gonna set up 2. And then I'm gonna have that one run as -right, because it's to the right of this one. So I'm gonna run this first, okay. It crashed, okay, that's what I thought. So I'm gonna do that again, but I'm gonna specify port 0. Let's try this. Okay, so -port 0. All right, here we go. Plus and plus. That's it. Oh, the speed is right. What? Oh! But that's it. That's multi-monitor there. Holy moly. We can also zoom that in to eliminate the HUD over there. Oh man, so yeah, that's the right view. And Doom is really weird. It is a 90-degree offset. So if we directly face that and we back up, we can see this wall is perpendicular to our view. Matter of fact, if we open auto map, we can see those are 90-degree angles there. So yeah, 90-degree offsets from the view, that's super weird, but it's working. Also here, if you only had 2 monitors, we could totally just have 1 monitor have up the auto map. How cool is that? Just play the game regularly with auto map on a 2nd monitor. Well, I am over the moon with that. I think we're gonna be able to do this with 3, actually maybe 4 systems now. Since all the computers worked, we can try and have a 4th screen for auto map. I think that's possible. So we'll see about that, but there's one more thing I want to do. I'm gonna pick whichever one of these is going to become the center screen system, and I'm gonna see if I can get a sound card working in it. Now this is not super easy because these are all PCI only systems, so you need a PCI sound card to use in DOS. Well, back to the Hydro Thunder. So I actually bought a Yamaha YMF 724 sound card so that I could try and create a 3rd Hydro Thunder PC just as a backup and for some testing stuff. So this actually is a pretty good sound card to use for DOS over PCI. So I'm gonna see if I can get this working on one of these. This is kind of a bonus objective, so I'm just gonna come back with it working if I can or not. Okay, after a whole bunch of messing around with this YMF 724 card, I've got ad-lib sound working. So if I start Need Even the Dead here, you'll hear E1M1. So that's cool, but I cannot get sound effects working at all to save my life. It's weird how it gets set up, and then the actual config software doesn't let you change the correct things. I was even able to set the motherboard on this to assign the PCI card IRQ5. Didn't solve anything, so yeah, I'm giving up on that. But now I'm gonna break out all the computers and some CRTs. Hopefully they work for me here. And we're gonna try this as a full 3-monitor surround. Okay, here's the setup. 3 CRTs and then the 1 beige LCD so that I can put it on top of the 4th monitor for auto map. And down below here are the 3 other computers needed to make this happen. So let's get these fired up and see how this plays. I have set up the auto execs to make my life a little bit easier, so this is a little bit more fun now. All right, here we go. So you may have noticed there that I got the rocket launcher and the chain gun. Because this is technically a co-op game, it adds in all of the multiplayer extra weapons that are designed to make it more fun. So there are more guns here too. Let's continue. Well, I genuinely cannot believe I actually managed to pull this off. This is insane. Why are you able to do this in 1993? How was this just, oh, wow. This is just Doom from 1993. There's nothing weird. This isn't a source port. There's no magic. This was how the game was made to be played. And I don't necessarily mean that this was, the intended way to be playing it. It was just a way that it was meant to be played. It's a shame that this wasn't continued on in the other versions and that it is so hard to find a copy that can do this. I mean, you can actually do this with Chocolate Doom. I have not tried it, but I assume it works. And this gotta be easier than setting up IPX and stuff like that. But wow, this is awesome. Well, this is definitely awesome, and I am going to be hard-pressed to not want to set up 4 computers every time I play Doom now. But let's take a look at a couple of the quirks associated with this. So first off, the auto map is empty up there. So I walked into a room that I haven't been in before. Let me go ahead and get that imp over there. Goodbye. The thing is that computer, one of the ones down there, has to see the map on its own in order for it to actually auto map it. So you can't just leave a fourth monitor up there for auto map. So I am going to have to drop this down to just 3 games, unfortunately. That one isn't actually all that useful because you don't need the auto map if you have seen all of it already. So yeah, but now you'll notice on the other monitors, the HUD is gone. Well, that's not a normal thing. I just zoomed the game out by 1, which in Doom by default disables the HUD. So you can zoom in or out on the HUD and do that. And it just kind of works to remove the HUD on those since you don't need it. You could also, if you really wanted to, make those views super tiny if it wasn't running well. So there's that. But yeah, it makes sense to just leave it like that. Now let's test. Nope, you cannot move the player by moving the side views, which the game calls drones, by the way. That's its term that showed up in the log there. So yeah, only this one can control it. And auto map there, yep, there, oh, there. So can bring that up on all of them with the controls. Yeah, this is cool. Can we chat? Hello. Message sent, but not received. Interesting. This is definitely a strange setup and experience, but man, is it an awesome one. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing all of this get put together. Man, I am excited to have actually done this now and to have this. I'm not necessarily on tap because, you know, it's kind of a thing to have to set up 3 or 4 computers with monitors to accomplish something like this, all with IPX networking on their own little switch local area thing. It's not really a LAN because LAN is a TCP/IP thing, but it's got to be its own thing going on here. But wow, am I glad I got to experience this because it is just cool and ridiculous. Well, that is it for now. If you guys enjoyed this video, you may want to subscribe because this won't be the last time we look at a weird way of rendering Doom that is more immersive, but that'll come later. If you want to help support the channel, I am on Patreon, but for now, that's it, and I will see you next time.